So it's August 23rd, and here's what happened on this day in Cold War history. In 1939, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was signed. Now, this was a mutual non-aggression pact between Hitler and Stalin, or between Germany and the Soviet Union. And they agreed to divide much of Europe between them. Like, this will be my cut, this will be your cut, and this will be my zone of influence, and this will be your zone of influence. Remember, and don't let the Russians actually, ever tell you otherwise. The Soviet Union was an ally of Hitler before they weren't. Like, they tell the story as if we were fighting Hitler. Yes, what happened before that? You were an ally and you were not going to be involved in conflict. Hitler turned on you, and that's what started the war. But before that, you were more than happy to be his ally. So let's not talk about how, well, the Ukrainians, they worked with Hitler, yeah, to throw off the Soviets who had starved them in the Holodomor. You're also going to see this with the Baltic states. They're also trying to throw off the Soviets because of World War II, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay, special thanks to Peter Hanula for the picture here. 1989, the singing revolution. So now we're looking at 2 million people who joined hands to form the Baltic Way. That's across Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the three Baltic states that I just said were gobbled up in World War II by the Russians. So first, the Soviets occupied these three Baltic states, and then the Nazis came in and liberated them. And I've been to Lithuania 3 times. The Lithuanians were very happy for the Nazis to come and kick out the Soviets. And then, they're trading one master for another. But then the Soviets came and reversed that, and then they were under Soviet domination until 1991. So there were a number of events held from 1987 to 1991. Mikhail Gorbachev introduced glasnost, which meant openness, and perestroika, which meant restructuring. Essentially what happened was they weren't able to economically hold the Soviet Union together. And so Gorbachev was trying to allow them to have some decentralized independence in order to hold the system together that they couldn't hold from a center in Moscow. And that led to the revolutions. Just a few days earlier, Latvia and Estonia declared their independence while the coup on Gorbachev was taking place. And you can go back just a couple of videos to see that. Okay, 2023. Yevgeny Prigozhin dies in a plane crash. Yevgeny Prigozhin was an interesting character. He was Putin's chef, and he formed the private military company Wagner, who fought and actually did some notable achievements in the war in Ukraine on Russia's side, fighting with mercenaries, fighting with prisoners, and sending them into a meat grinder against Ukraine. And then he kind of turned on the boss and led a weird coup into Moscow. It looks like I thought, at least initially, I thought that he was just trying to overthrow the military rulers to get put in charge, but he might have been coming for Putin. So after this, and there's a negotiation with Belarus President Lukashenko that he's going to go to Belarus instead, and he's not going to call off the attack on Moscow that he was targeting. And then we're like, okay, well, what time is it? How long is it going to be until he dies? And he died in a plane crash 1 year ago. Today, as I'm talking about this in 2024, this event happened in 2023. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes and your interest. And thank you for being the kind of person who cares about the world that we live in.